4 main rules. Assume it's dangerous. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Point it in a safe direction. And know what's in that direction, both in front and behind the target. Now, of course, you also, as a part of this, have to know your prop, right? Your prop or your firearm. They come with these lovely manuals. Read them. Every gun's a little bit different. Some firearms will fire with a round in the chamber and no magazine in, some won't. How do you know? Read the manual. Do you know at first glance if this is a safety or a takedown lever or a slide lock? Probably. You might have a 75% chance of guessing right if you know firearms. They're all fairly similar, but 75% is not good enough when we're talking life or death decisions here, right? So read the manual. If it's a used gun, look up the manual. Call the owner. They'll call the manufacturer. They'll send you a PDF. It's not that hard to get a hold of these things, and you need to know your prop. You need to know your firearm. You need to know how the thing works. You need to know how to keep it safe. You need to know the different conditions, whether it's supposed to be carried and cocked and locked, whether it even has a safety, whether it has an internal lock, how many rounds that magazine's supposed to be able to hold, what the manufacturer suggests in terms of cleaning and maintenance. That's your responsibility to know your prop, to know your firearm. So do due diligence, take care of your things. In actor terms, we got to know where it's dangerous. Whereas, is it going to make a loud noise? Is it going to expel anything out the front or out the top? Is the slide going to move and whack the back of my hand? How loud is this going to be? Do I need hearing protection? Does the crew member behind me need hearing protection? The sound guy's got to know. Make sure that you know your prop, right? Is it single action? Is it double action? All that stuff. Do your research. Do your homework. Do your homework. And finally, one thing that I think they don't always cover, along with as well as the 4 basic rules of firearms handling, which I really think they ought to, and some states now have laws about, is storing firearms. Now, when you have prop guns, it's maybe a little less big a deal because they're not the immediate dangerous threat, with the possible exception of a blank gun at point blank. And I still think those need to be stored securely, but legally there is an obligation, morally there's an obligation, especially if you're going to own real firearms. You've got to keep them secure. Now, this is a personal choice in terms of balancing what are the more likely threats. Are you more in danger by not having immediate access to your firearm, or are you more in danger by somebody else having access to your firearm? Everybody's got to make their own choice. But if you have kids, if you have family members who struggle with depression, if you struggle with depression, don't just make it super convenient and easy to get, right? It's not hard to get. A lot of organizations will give out cable locks, which you can, if you lock the slide back on a semi-auto and take the magazine out, you can put the cable through the mag well here, and that prevents it from being loaded and firing. You can get trigger locks like I've got on here. What I like about these is I can have multiple that are on the same key, so I only have to possess or hide one key to be able to have this on multiple firearms. I've got a shotgun on there with it as well. And then I like redundancies as well, so I have them because I have kids. So I've got all of my firearms in a locked steel safe location with trigger guards on them as well. Trigger lock, so double locked there, and all the ammunition locked in a separate space, because to me quick access is nowhere near as important as making sure that my kids can't get into it, or that a family member who's struggling with depression might just decide one time to wander down there. So to me, controlling that access is more important. I totally understand if you live by yourself and you never have anybody over, which right now we're not supposed to have anybody over. Maybe that's less of a concern for you. But, even if it's just like leaving it around and your dog comes and picks it up and starts chewing on it, like that could end badly too. I've heard at least 1 or 2 sort of, offbeat news stories about hunters whose dogs accidentally shot them because they knocked over a loaded gun and it went off or something. To me, that's another safety rule. Keep them safely stored. Keep it secured. Is it secret? Is it safe? As Gandalf would say. And if you're going to carry while you're out and about, then you also have to start thinking about things like, do I have a little travel safe that I can keep in my car? Because, if you need to stop by a bank, if you need to go into a school, or somewhere else where firearms aren't allowed, you've still got to make sure that that is in a safe place and it's secured. You've got to know where it is at all times and that no one else is going to be able to just run off with it. Because if a firearm gets stolen and gets used to commit crimes, that's on you, right? As much as it is anybody else. So you've got to be aware of it. You know, when you go into the bathroom, if you're going to set it down somewhere, don't leave a sidearm sitting in the back of a toilet in a public restroom. Every now and then you read about things like that, and half the time it's police officers who really ought to know better. So, you know, make sure that at all times you have control over it and it is in a safe location. Well secured on your hip is a safe location as long as you know what you're doing. Locked up in a case is a safe location. So just think about safety, not just when you're using it, but also when you can't. If you're at all interested in blades and that aspect of stage combat or other parts of stage combat that are not specifically firearms related, by all means go make sure you've checked out my other channel, Fight Designer, as well, which is sort of my main channel, which I use for everything else. A lot of what's on there is unlisted private stuff from like rehearsal videos and things, but I do also put up props tutorials and reviews and things. Not too infrequently there, you know, not as much as I do here. And I've had I recently put up one with some cutting practice with sharp swords and something on how to blunt down things and some stuff on switchblades. So if you're interested in other props topics as well, or other prop weaponry kind of things, then check out the Fight Designer channel as well as the YouTube channel.